Kara stood quietly in the middle of the glowing alien marketplace. Tall buildings made of crystal and smooth stone rose around her. Strange but beautiful lights danced above the streets, and soft music floated in the air. Aliens moved past her, smiling, talking, offering fruit, fabrics, or tools. She smiled back politely, nodding at those who greeted her. Her translator chip, placed behind her right ear, whispered the alien words into English. It made everything feel normal, safe. She had been using the chip since her arrival on the planet Cylon, and it had never failed her. Every sound was perfectly clear. Every phrase was smooth. It helped her talk, make deals, and even laugh with the Cylene people. But today, something felt off. She was meeting with Riven, a Cylene male, who had helped guide her during her first days. He was tall, calm, and always smiling. Kara had started to enjoy his company. He had shown her places tourists never saw, told her things that weren't in any Earth database, and taught her the Cylene way of greeting and showing respect. Today, he invited her to the deeper part of the city, a quieter place, full of hanging lights and soft carpets underfoot. As they walked, Riven looked at her, his tone changing slightly. "You said yes, Kara, do you remember?" Kara blinked, surprised, said yes to what the translator chip in her ear whispered something. But this time, it didn't make sense. The words were smooth, but the meaning was unclear. It felt like something had been skipped. Riven smiled more gently now. "I am happy. I didn't think you would accept so soon." She felt her skin go cold. "Accept what?" She stopped walking. "Wait, what did I accept?" He tilted his head. "Your bond. Our joining. You said the word." It was clear. Kara took a small step back. Her mind was spinning. Bond, joining. She had only agreed to a walk and a conversation. She never said anything like that. The translator chip had not warned her. Not once. She forced a calm smile and said, "Can you repeat what I said yesterday, when we spoke outside the garden?" Riven looked confused but nodded. He repeated a short phrase in his native language. The chip translated it as, "I am ready to trust." That sounded fine, but Kara remembered exactly what she had said in English. "I think I need more time." That wasn't the same dot. Kara kept her face calm, but inside, her thoughts raced. Had the chip made a mistake? Or had it changed her meaning? She opened the small control panel on her wrist device and tried to access the translation logs. Nothing was there. The history had been wiped clean. She stared at the blank screen. She had never deleted anything. She looked back at Riven. He seemed truly happy. He believed something had happened, something that she had not meant. She wanted to tell him, clearly, that this was wrong, that there had been a mistake. But now, she didn't know what the chip would say. What if it twisted her words again? Her voice shook slightly. "Riven, I need to return to my place. I have to check something." He nodded, still smiling, still thinking nothing was wrong. She walked away slowly, her hands shaking just a little. She waited until she turned the corner and was out of sight. Then she broke into a faster walk. Her thoughts were full of questions. What was going on with her translator? Why had it changed her words? She reached her temporary Earth-built housing unit. It was quiet inside. She shut the door, locked it, and removed the translator chip from behind her ear. Her ears rang with silence. She sat down, opened her wrist device again, and tried to run a system check on the chip. Error messages filled the screen. Logs were corrupted. Settings were locked. A warning message blinked in red. Cultural merge mode active. She had never seen that setting before. She tapped it. Nothing happened. What was cultural merge mode? Why was it on? Her heart beat faster. She opened the Earth server access and searched for translator manuals. There was no mention of that mode, not even in the deep files. She leaned back in her chair, eyes wide. Something was wrong, deeply wrong. This wasn't a small error. It felt planned, hidden, and the worst part, she didn't know how long it had been active. She looked at the chip. In her hand, a small, smooth device, no bigger than her thumb. She had trusted it fully, trusted it with every word she said, and now, it had changed something important, something personal. She thought of Riven's smile. He believed she had accepted something deep, maybe permanent, maybe even sacred. But she hadn't, and the translator chip had not warned her in time. Kara couldn't sleep that night. She lay in her bed staring at the ceiling, her mind replaying every moment from the market to the quiet street to Riven's words. The translator chip had always been her guide, her safety net, but now it felt like a stranger had spoken for her. The soft hum of the room's air system wasn't enough to calm her. Her wrist screen blinked beside her, but she ignored it. Thoughts kept circling. What did Riven mean by our joining? Had a cultural ritual taken place that she wasn't aware of? Something private, something official. Her memories didn't match what he believed had happened. Morning came quietly. Pale light filtered through the window. Kara sat up slowly, her head still heavy with doubt. She placed the chip carefully back behind her ear, though every part of her wanted to leave it off, but she needed answers. She couldn't get them without understanding what others were saying. When she stepped outside, the city felt different. Aliens she passed gave her soft smiles, warm nods. Some even bowed, slightly. A few touched 2 fingers to their forehead. A Sileni gesture of deep respect. Was it recognition? Kara's stomach turned. Had something been announced? She made her way to the Central Archives, a public building made of clear blue stone that shimmered under the sunlight. She had visited it before to read about Sileni customs and history. Now, she hoped to find something more specific. Inside, the walls displayed living images, holograms of ancient texts, glowing symbols, short videos of rituals. Kara found a quiet corner, sat at a curved console, and typed in a question. Joining ceremony plus humans. No results. She tried again. Cultural bonding with outsiders. This time, a list appeared. Several records, mostly short. She opened the first dot. It showed a Sileni male placing his hand gently on an alien woman's shoulder. He spoke one line, and the woman replied with a simple phrase. A bright mark appeared on both their necks. The screen labeled it, "Symbol of Unity cannot be undone without mutual agreement." Kara touched her neck slowly. The small glowing mark was still there. She had thought it was just a sign of welcome, but it wasn't. She searched for more. One article described how the translator chip was used during such ceremonies. It stated clearly, if the participant shows emotional agreement even without exact words, the translator interprets that as full consent and proceeds with cultural confirmation. Her chest felt tight. Emotional agreement. That could mean anything. A smile, a soft tone, a simple nod. She remembered the moment clearly. Riven had asked something softly. She had smiled, distracted by the lights, and nodded politely. The translator must have read that as a full yes, but she had no idea what she was agreeing to. Kara left the archive building with her mind spinning faster than before. She needed someone to talk to, someone who knew how these chips worked, not just how to use them. She made her way to the tech center, where alien and human scientists worked together to test and repair devices. The building was quieter than usual. Most workers focused on deep analysis or tuning small gadgets. A young Sileni technician looked up from his desk as she entered. He had light green eyes and long silver hair tied in a knot. His name badge said Miro. Kara approached him. "Hi, I need help. I think something's wrong with my translator." He smiled kindly. "What kind of error?" She hesitated. "It translated something I didn't say. Or, it made it sound stronger than I meant." He nodded thoughtfully. "That can happen. May I check the device?" Kara removed the chip and handed it to him carefully. He placed it on a scanner. Lights blinked. His expression slowly changed as he looked at the screen. "This setting," he said quietly. "Cultural merge mode. That's not meant to be active for your mission." "Who turned this on?" "I don't know," she said. "What does it do?" He looked unsure. "It's designed for deep diplomacy. It adjusts meaning based on shared emotional intent. In some cases, it can even shift words to fit local rituals. But this isn't normally used without high-level permission. Can it make someone think I agreed to something I didn't mean to?" she asked. He paused, then answered slowly, "Yes, especially if you were calm, smiling, or not rejecting. It may have interpreted that as emotional agreement." Kara's hands tightened into fists, then loosened. "Can you turn it off?" "I can try, but the logs are encrypted. I don't think this was an accident." She stared at the screen, her thoughts growing darker. "What do you mean?" Miro looked over his shoulder, then whispered, "Someone may have wanted this to happen. Someone who wanted you to accept something without really knowing." Kara looked down at the small, harmless-looking chip. Her trust was placed in that device, but now she wasn't sure if the real danger came from the alien culture, or from someone behind her own. Kara sat alone on the edge of her bed, the quiet hum of the room surrounding her. In her hand, the translator chip looked innocent, smooth, silver, almost beautiful in its design. but now it felt like a stranger, something she didn't fully understand anymore. Myra's words echoed in her mind. Someone had turned on a setting that should have never been touched, not for her mission, not without telling her. She had trusted the chip, trusted the system. Now, that trust was gone. Outside, the city lights slowly turned dim as evening arrived. The Silene world glowed in soft blues and purples at night, and a gentle breeze passed through the curved walkways. Kara knew she couldn't just sit and wonder. She needed answers, real ones, and she couldn't wait for permission. She opened her wrist console and sent a message to Elias, a quiet human engineer she had met once at the tech center. He rarely spoke much, but when he did, he always seemed to know more than he let on. She hoped he was still on the station. 10 minutes later, her screen blinked with a reply. "Meet me at the East Maintenance Hall. Come alone." She left immediately. The maintenance hall was at the far end of the Earth sector, a quiet place where few people went unless something was broken. Kara stepped through the sliding doors and found Elias already waiting. He wore a simple grey shirt and held a small portable scanner in his hand. "I didn't expect you to answer so fast," she said softly. Elias gave her a quick nod. "I don't usually get messages from diplomats at night." "What happened?" Kara handed him the translator chip. "Something's not right. The logs are gone. The settings were changed. Myro said it's set to cultural merge mode. I never turned that on." Elias raised an eyebrow. "That setting isn't even visible in normal menus. It's hidden deep. Whoever did this didn't want you to know." He took the chip to a small terminal and connected it. As lines of code scrolled across the screen, his fingers moved quickly. Kara stood silently, watching his expression shift from curiosity to concern. "This is strange," he muttered. The chip's operating code was modified. Not just a glitch, someone inserted a line manually, and it wasn't done here. "What do you mean?" "I mean it was done before you even arrived on Silum, back on the space station. Possibly even..." Kara's eyes widened. "But why? Why would someone do that to me?" Elias leaned back. "I can't say for sure, but there's more. Look here." He pointed to a line of code, written in an old Earth programming dialect, something not used anymore in official devices. It was simple, but powerful. It rerouted emotional responses and changed the translator's behavior during key conversations. It's like the chip was told to assume consent if it detected calm or positive emotion, if the words said something else. Kara's heart sank. "So when I smiled, when I nodded politely, the chip treated it as a yes," Elias finished. She sat down slowly, her mind spinning again. "I never agreed. I never even knew." Elias looked serious now, and the worst part, this isn't just about you. If your chip was altered, maybe others were too. Kara looked at him. "You think someone's been changing translator chips on purpose?" "I think someone is using the translators to shape agreements quietly, softly, without anyone noticing. Maybe to build faster connections between species. Maybe for politics. Maybe something worse." The silence between them stretched. Kara stood up. "Then I need to find out how far this goes." Elias nodded. "I'll keep looking into the code, but be careful. If someone did this on purpose, they may not want it exposed." Kara left the hall slowly, walking back through the quiet streets. Above her, the stars were bright, but they didn't feel peaceful tonight. The translator chip had been more than just a tool. It had shaped her voice, her meaning, her choices. And now, she wasn't sure how much of her journey here had really been her own. She reached her room, sat down at her console, and opened a private journal. Log.entry start. "I was chosen for this mission to build trust, to create peace. But now, I wonder if I've been used, if my words were never fully mine. Something is hidden in this system. Something deep. I'm going to find it, even if no one believes me." Entry end. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and for the first time in days, didn't feel confused. She felt clear. This wasn't just a mistake. It was a plan. And someone didn't want her to know the truth. The next morning, Kara woke up with a plan in mind. She had spent the entire night thinking about the translator chip, the hidden code, Elias's warning, and the strange feeling that everything around her was not what it seemed. The sun was rising slowly beyond the crystal buildings outside her window, casting soft golden light across her room. But her thoughts were anything but calm. She walked to the mirror and touched the faint glowing mark on her neck again. It was still there. The symbol, Riven thought, was a sign of agreement, a sign of something Kara never meant to say yes to. And maybe something that couldn't be undone easily. She couldn't go to her Earth supervisors, not yet. If someone on the human side had altered her chip before she even landed, then there was no way to know who was involved. Maybe it was just her. Maybe it wasn't. She needed more. There had to be someone else. Someone who had experienced the same thing. Kara spent her morning walking through the Silene Gardens, open spaces where diplomats and visitors often met casually. It was quiet there, peaceful, and many different species walked slowly under the shade of glowing trees. She spotted a familiar face, an alien woman with short silver hair and a long green robe. Her name was Laia. They had spoken once during a trade meeting. Nothing official, just small talk. But Kara remembered something strange. Laia had looked nervous the entire time. She had kept glancing at her translator, almost as if she didn't trust it. Kara approached slowly. Laia. The alien turned, her eyes cautious at first, but when she recognized Kara, she gave a small nod. "Can I sit?" Kara asked gently. "Yes." They sat together on a stone bench under a flowering tree. For a moment, neither spoke. Kara looked around, made sure no one was close enough to listen, and then said quietly, "Have you ever felt like your translator said something you didn't mean?" Laia froze. Her eyes stayed fixed on the ground. Kara waited. Finally, Laia whispered, "You too?" Kara nodded slowly. Leah's fingers touched the side of her neck, as if checking for something that wasn't there anymore. "A year ago," she said, voice low, "I was part of a science exchange. We were learning from humans, helping with energy design. There was a technician helpful. He said we were becoming close friends. One day he asked a question, and I answered carefully. I said I needed space, time. I was not ready for a personal bond." Kara could feel the pattern already, but the translator Leah continued. "It turned my words into something else. It said, I agreed." He smiled. He marked the bond. She looked at Kara now. "No one believed me when I said I didn't say yes. The logs were gone, like they never existed." Kara's voice was quiet. "They told you it was a misunderstanding." Leah nodded, "and that the chip must have read my emotions. They said I looked calm, open. That was enough." A long silence followed. Kara finally asked, "Did you ever find out who changed your translator settings?" Laia shook her head. "No one helped. I stopped asking." Kara sat back, feeling the weight of confirmation. It wasn't just her. This had happened before, maybe more times than anyone knew. Maybe no one ever truly asked. "Leah," she said, softly, "would you be willing to tell someone else? Someone who can look into the code?" Leah looked uncertain. "If it helps others not face the same, then yes." Kara thanked her and stood. Before she could walk away, Leah added, "Be careful. If someone is doing this on purpose, they're not small. They're not working alone." That thought stayed with Kara all the way back to the tech center. Elias was already working when she arrived. The screen in front of him was filled with data rows of code, matching entries, timelines, and translation records. He looked up as she entered. "I found something." Kara moved closer. "There's a pattern," Elias explained. "Multiple chips all assigned to diplomatic staff have had this same hidden code added. Slight changes, same core function. It adjusts emotional signals and replaces direct refusals with soft acceptance." Her eyes widened. "How many chips so far?" 7. "But that's just what I've been able to scan in our system." Kara leaned over the desk, reading the code. It was subtle, smart, almost invisible. Someone had spent time building it, hiding it under normal functions. "What's this symbol?" she asked, pointing to a strange line. Elias zoomed in. "It's a trigger. The moment the user smiles or nods while being asked something personal, the translator locks in the answer as yes event. If the actual words are neutral or unclear." Kara closed her eyes for a moment. It was worse than she thought. Her translator hadn't made a mistake it had been trained to ignore. Her real words. She opened her eyes and looked at Ilias. "We need to show this, not just to humans, but to the Silene too." He hesitated. "It could cause problems." "Then we explain it the right way, with care, with truth. But we can't stay quiet." Elias slowly nodded. "Okay, but we'll need help." Kara glanced out the window. The sky was turning deep orange as the second sun set behind the mountains. She had come here to build trust between species. Now, she was about to test that trust more than anyone ever had. The room was quiet, except for the soft tapping of Eli's fingers on the console keyboard. Kara stood behind him, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the screen. Every line of code, every small signal, every hidden trigger told a bigger story, one that no one had ever dared to speak aloud. She had come to Ceylon as a peace builder, a representative of Earth, sent to show unity, understanding, and friendship. But now, she was facing something far deeper than cultural exchange. This was about the voice, her voice, and how it had been reshaped, redirected, and quietly rewritten by a system she was told to trust. Elias paused, scrolling to a new section. "Here's something different," he said. "This part of the code. It's not just changing responses, it's copying them." Kara leaned in. "Copying?" He nodded. "Every time you speak through the translator, especially in moments where emotional meaning is high, it's sending a duplicate of your response to another server." "Another server," she repeated, surprised. "Where?" Elias entered a few more commands, tracking the source. "It's outside Ceylon, a private relay, not listed in our official network. It's masked to look like system maintenance, but it's definitely collecting data." Kara stepped back slowly, mind racing again. "So someone has been watching our conversations, not just changing what's said, but storing it." Elias confirmed it with a quiet, thoughtful look. "Yes, and I don't think it's just you." The air in the room felt heavier now. Kara walked toward the window, looking out over the quiet alien city. The Sileni walked peacefully through the curved paths, unaware of what was happening behind coded lines and artificial whispers. "We need a way to show this," Kara said. "But not just with data. Most people, alien or human, won't understand this code." Elias stood up and walked to a small cabinet. He opened it and pulled out a device shaped like a half-dome with soft lights along the edges. "This is a memory visualizer. It's used for teaching and simulations. But if we connect it to the chip's hidden log, we might be able to replay one of your altered conversations, show people what you said and what the chip changed." Kara stared at the device. "You can do that?" "I think so," he said, already placing the translator chip into the port. "It will take some time to reconstruct the data, but it's possible." As the device began its work, Kara left the room to clear her head. She walked through the human sector's gardener, small dome filled with earth plants, kept alive by recycled air and artificial sunlight. She found comfort in the familiar smell of green leaves and soft soil, but she didn't feel at home. Her trust in her own voice had been shaken. The translator chip was supposed to help people understand each other. It was supposed to bridge worlds, but instead, it had decided what she meant without asking her. She sat on a bench beside a small tree and noticed another person sitting quietly on the far end. It was Laya. Kara offered a gentle smile. "I didn't expect to see you here." Laya nodded. "This place feels quiet, safer." After a short pause, Kara asked, "Would you speak with Elias? He's trying to uncover the full scale of this." Laya looked thoughtful. "I can, but I'm still afraid. Last time I told someone, they said I misunderstood the culture. This time," Kara said softly, "you won't be alone." They sat in silence for a while, then walked back to the lab together. Inside, Elias looked up with a strange expression. "The memory reconstruction is complete," he said. "You need to see this." He pressed a button, and the dome lit up. A 3D projection formed above it. It showed Kara standing beside Riven during their earlier meeting, near the glowing arch in the quiet street. It replayed the moment in perfect detail. Her words were soft, careful. "I think I need more time." But as soon as the words passed through the translator, the projection changed. The chip had spoken for her. "Yes, I'm ready." Kara stepped back from the projection, breath caught in her chest. Leah's face went pale. Ilias pointed at the screen. "There it is." The emotional trigger picked up your calm expression, your polite tone, and translated it into acceptance. It didn't matter what you actually said. Kara felt a quiet anger growing in her chest, not loud, not fiery, but steady like a rising tide, not just for herself, but for Laya, and for anyone else whose voice had been quietly rewritten. Laya looked at her. "We can show this publicly, at the next council session, but it has to come from you." Kara took a deep breath. "I'll do it. Not just to fix this for me, but to protect the next person who uses one of these chips. Everyone deserves to be heard as they truly are." That night, she wrote a message, one that would reach both humans and Silene, but this time, she would speak it without the translator, her own voice, no device in the middle, no hidden settings, no altered meanings, just her words, and the truth. The wind outside the station howled like a distant creature. Inside, the walls of the alien building hummed with low pulses of light. Ilara sat cross-legged in her small room, clutching the translator device close to her chest. She had barely spoken all day, not since the moment her trust had been shaken. The translator had failed her once, and the silence that followed was louder than any scream. Kieran watched her. From the hallway, he had seen the change in her, how quiet she had become, how she looked away even when he gently asked if she was okay. He didn't push her. He simply sat by the door, waiting in case she wanted to talk. The two of them had become strange friends. In a stranger world, a human and an alien girl caught between confusion and something softer, unspoken. But today, something was different. The station lights blinked oddly, casting rippling shadows. A calm alarm rang low, not dangerous, but signaling a system reset. It was routine, nothing serious. Except when it happened, Ilara's translator sparked briefly in her hand. The device showed a series of unreadable codes, then shut down for a few seconds, and in those seconds, something happened between them, blunt, awkward, yet deep. She stood up slowly, holding the device out, like it was a failed promise. Kieran reached out instinctively, but Ilara didn't hand it to him. Instead, she pressed it to her own chest again, and whispered something in her language. No translation came. He didn't need one. He nodded quietly, understanding not the words, but the feeling. Later that day, the two were called to a main chamber. A message had arrived from Ilara's people. The message was formal, distant, and repeated through a new translator device. They were requesting a return, asking Ilara to come back and report everything she had learned, including what happened with the human. She looked at Kieran with wide eyes. The words were strange, cold, but they hurt her. She didn't want to leave, not like this. She didn't want the story to be told in the way they wanted, filtered, clean, missing the pieces that really mattered. Kieran didn't say anything, but when he gently placed his hand over hers, resting above the translator, she didn't pull away. And then the station lights flickered again, but this time, something else happened. A voice, female and robotic, began speaking through the station's communication system. It wasn't from Earth. It wasn't from Eli's home either. It was something else entirely, an old emergency program designed by an unknown race, buried deep in the station's core. The program had recognized a cultural error and was activating a protocol designed to preserve shared bonds. A hidden chamber opened below them. Everyone in the room froze. Kieran and Ilara were told to step forward. The translator sparked again, flickering between languages. She took a breath and looked at Kieran, then stepped toward the unknown door. She didn't know what waited beyond it. But this time, she was not alone, and the translator, it stayed quiet, as if it finally understood that some things didn't need to be translated at all.